Today we're going to be going over how to change the throttles on your Apollo Go. The tools you'll need to perform this repair are a pair of flush cutters, a 5mm, 3mm, and 2.5mm Allen key, as well as some electrical tape. The first step to removing the throttle on an Apollo Go is accessing the wiring of the display. So we're going to use a 2.5mm Allen key and unscrew the 5 screws holding this plate together. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 under the headlight there. I'm going to set those screws aside and just using that same Allen key, just going to shake this loose a bit. This plate should come off. The headlight should still be attached. You can see all the wiring in here. Next step, in order to get access to the throttle, we're going to need to remove the LED, the grip, and the brake lever from the handlebars. So we're going to take my 3mm Allen key and loosen this screw at the end. This will free the LED as well as the handlebar grip. Now to remove the LED, we're going to take our flush cutters and remove the wrapping around the connectors. Once the wrapping is gone, I can simply push this down, pull to remove the LED, set it aside. Now the handlebar grip should slide right off. Now I'm going to take my 5mm Allen key to loosen the brake lever screw at the bottom. And again, we don't need to completely remove this screw, we just need it loose enough so we can slide the brake lever off the handlebars. So now it's loose. I have freedom here. Before I can fully pull the brake lever out, I'm going to need to disconnect the brake line as well as disconnect the wiring inside. So to disconnect the brake line, first thing I want to do is align these adjustment screws here so you can see a clear gap between everything. I'm going to give it a nice pull. And this brake is so tight that I'm going to need to loosen it at the drum brake. So the brake line is too tight for me to remove it, so I'm just going to take this adjustment screw on the drum brake, turn it counterclockwise 4 or 5 times. And that should give me a lot more slack in order to pull the brake line, and it does give me just enough. Now that I've loosened the adjustment screw at the drum brake, I should be able to pull this just enough. My gaps disappeared. Pull the brake line, and pull it down to remove the line from the brake lever. Now that that's done, we can start to slide this out, and then we're going to see what cable it belongs to on the inside. So I can see as I'm moving this cable is moving. I can verify it when I pull this. I can see the bit of movement on this end, so I know these 2 cables belong to one another. And I will need to cut the heat shrink here and remove the connector in order to free the throttle. So now I can disconnect that. I should be able to pull this brake lever all the way out. Unsnag it, there we go. There's a few more things we need to do before we can remove the throttle. The first one is removing this sort of bracket retaining piece here. The screw is a little bit hidden, but using our 2.5mm Allen key, we're going to press the throttle and it should show us the head of the screw right here. Going to loosen that. Same as everything here, don't need to remove it, the screw all the way, just enough to slide it off the handlebars. Now that I've removed that, I can take my 3mm. And do the same thing with the throttle itself. The screw, loosen it. And now, very similar to what we did with the brake lever, I'm going to need to find this connection inside the deck. I can see it is right here. So wiggle those cables. This one wiggles. The throttle should have 2 connectors each, not just one like the LED or the brake lever. So now I found the connectors from this throttle. Simply cutting off the protective wrapping so I can disconnect them. They're gone. I can simply pull to disconnect. You'll notice that because I'm removing the regen throttle, both these connectors are red, indicating that it's a brake. The power throttle will both have white connectors. Now I can fairly easily pull these out. Once again, if you get snagged, just try twisting the cable. Take it out. And remove this last piece too. I've just removed the throttle. Now, obviously, to reinstall a throttle, we're going to do everything in reverse order. So now, for this video, I'm going to reuse the same throttle. Of course, if you're doing a repair, you will have a new throttle. We're going to do it. We're going to take the cable, put it out, back inside the loop. Make sure we have this piece going in first. Slide my connectors through. Slide the lever on. Now I need to push the connectors into this cavity where all the wiring is. I find it best not to try and group the connectors, then it gets really easy to stick and snag somewhere. I like to kind of push one in and have the other following it, like so. Once you see it inside the control cavity, it becomes a lot easier to simply pull and get it to where it needs to go. I'm going to plug it back in where they came out. There we go, everything's plugged in, so I can just verify that it worked as intended. As I push the regen throttle, the brake light's activating, and I can turn on the light with the button, as well as the turn signal, so I know everything's plugged in correctly. Now, before I tighten anything up, I'm going to put everything on the handlebar and do all the tightening at the end. So the next piece that goes on is this plastic retaining piece. Next we have the brake lever. Pushing the connector through. Put it on the handlebar. This brake lever should slide right in to the spot on this retaining clip, so it almost looks like one piece at the end. Plugging the brake line with a white connector into a red receiving connector, the red, green, and black, same colors here. An Allen key to pull out the connector for the turn signal LED, because we want easy access to that. So now I can slide that on, push it all the way to the end. I can connect the turn signal LED, push it in, and now I'm ready to tighten everything up. First thing I'm going to tighten is the brake lever with the 5mm Allen key. It's nice and tight, can't rotate on the handlebar. Now I'm going to secure the turn signal LED and handlebar grip using the 3mm Allen key at the end. Now the grip can't rotate into place, and the turn signal LED isn't going anywhere either. Now to tighten the pieces on the throttle itself. So first thing, using my 2.5mm Allen key, getting to the hidden screw in the front. Sure that's nice and tight. Now one last time with the 3mm Allen key on the throttle itself. Again, we want to make sure no matter how hard we push this, it's not rotating, so nothing's moving while we're using the scooter. Everything's nice and tight. One more time, I'm just gonna turn on the scooter, make sure everything's working as it should. I pull the brake lever, the brake light's flashing. I can activate my LED, my stem LED, and each of them independently. Turn signal's working properly. Same on this side. So now we know we're good to finish the reassembly and complete the repair. So we're going to put the plate on to cover the wiring cavity here. So this is the headlight. It drops right in here. If you're ever confused about which way it goes, you can just follow kind of how the cable is pressed. It goes right like this. We're going to push all these wires up. Make sure nothing's pinching along the sides when we close it. So that's pretty close. I'm going to hold it there until I can get at least one screw in. So of the 5 screws we used to secure the plate, 4 of them will be like this, flat tops and a countersunk edge, so it sits flush against the scooter. One of them looks like this. The one that's different secures the headlight. That's all that you really need to remember here. And my final screw is the one that's shaped differently. There we go. We've secured all the wiring. The last step is just to reconnect the brake line. Slotting the metal piece from the bottom up, making sure I have a clear straight line here. There we go. I just needed to pull harder. And there we go. I'm going to retighten the drum brake because we had to loosen this to get it free, but that's all there is to replacing the throttle on an Apollo Go.